up, YouTube? This month is back to school, and today I'm going to show you how to make a Trifold pencil and notebook carrier. Now, I got this idea off of Pinterest, and it came from a website called dinarudder.com, and I thought that these would match perfectly with my drawstring backpacks that I made last week. So the things that you're going to need to make these Trifold pencil and notebook carriers are 2 pieces of fabric that measure 18 inches wide by 10 inches tall. Now, last week I used Batman. This week I'm using Spider-Man. You're also going to need a piece of interfacing that measures 18 inches by 10 inches also. And I'm using Pellon 911FF. That's a lightweight kind. You're going to need another piece of fabric that measures 18 inches wide by 11 inches tall. And this is going to be the pocket for our pencil case. And also a piece of ribbon. This happens to be 1/2 inch wide that measures 26 inches long. You're going to need your iron and ironing board and sewing machine with matching thread. Today I'll be using red. So let's get started. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is to grab one of your pieces that measures 18 inches by 10 inches. I'm going to flip it over so that the wrong side is facing up. Then you're going to want to grab your Pellon here, and you're going to stick it so the glue, the bumpy side, is facing down. Now, following your manufacturer's instructions, go ahead and iron this down. So I'm just going to get a pressing cloth here and lay it over. And then I'm just going to lay my iron here for about 20 seconds. Alright guys, so it's been about 15 seconds. So what I'm going to do is pick up the iron and move it over. And I'm going to overlap just a little bit. Now the manufacturer's instruction says 10 seconds, but I just felt like that wasn't long enough. Alright guys, so now I'm just going to continue to do that until my fusible is all glued down. Alright guys, so I have this nice and glued down, so I'm just going to set this off to the side for just one moment. And now you just want to grab your piece of fabric that measures 18 inches wide by 11 inches tall. Like I said, this is going to be our pocket for our little case here. So now you just want to fold this in half, like the hot dog way. Just like that, and give it a press. Alright, so now I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine, and using an 1/8 inch seam allowance here, I'm going to top stitch right along this edge here where the fold is. Now it should look just like this. Next, you want to grab your piece of fabric with the Pellon on it. We're going to lay it so the pretty side is facing up. And then we're going to line our pocket up at the bottom here. Just like that, and throw a couple pins in there. Now I stuck about 3 pins in here, and that'll be good just to hold it in place. Now the next thing that you're going to want to do is we're going to flip this over. Now with a pencil and a ruler, I'm going to measure up 5.5 inches from the bottom. And that's right here. And that should be the top of our pocket here. So with a pencil, I'm just going to draw a line. Just like that. Now starting at the bottom and going right, I'm going to measure over 7 inches. That's right here. And I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to stop at that 5.5 inch line that we just drew. So now I'm going to measure over 1.5 inches and draw another line. Now I'm going to do another 1.5 inches. Now because I have it lined up on my grid here, it makes it a lot easier. So from this line, I'm going to measure over 1.5 inches again. An 1.5 inches again. Now I'm going to measure over from this line 1.5 inches again. And one more time, 1.5 inches. Now this last little pocket here should measure 2 inches. Alright guys, so I should have a 7-inch pocket right here. That's going to be for our notebook. I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pockets that measure 1.5 inches. And this last little pocket measures 2 inches. So now I'm just going to take this over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to start right here at the 5.5-inch line. And I'm going to sew down each of these lines, making sure to backstitch at the top here. Now I'm going to do that to all of these lines, and that's going to form our pockets. Alright guys, so I'm over here at my sewing machine, and I went ahead and sewed a couple of these pocket lines. So like I said, I'm going to start right here at the top where the 5.5-inch line is, and I'm going to backstitch. And then just sew the rest of the line. Now there's no need to backstitch at the bottom because that's going to get encased in another seam. So now I'm just going to cut my threads here and move to the next line. Now I'm going to continue to do that until all the lines are sewn. Alright guys, as you can see, it should look like that. Now the next thing we're going to do is flip this over. I'm going to remove this pin here, and you're going to want to grab your ribbon. Now in the beginning I said our ribbon is 26 inches long. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold our ribbon over at the 10-inch mark. Just like this. So that one side of the ribbon will be 10 inches and the other is going to be 26 inches. Now I'm just going to take this ribbon, and right here at the top of our pocket on the long side where our notebook's going to go, I'm going to place the ribbon. Just like that, and clip it into place. Now I'm just going to take this over to my sewing machine, and using an 1/8 to even a 1/4 inch seam allowance, I'm just going to sew this little ribbon down just to tack it down. And I'd like to go over it about 2 or 3 times just to make sure it's down good. And it should look like this. You could probably see it better from the back. So for the next part, I like to go ahead and just tuck the ribbon down into these pockets just to make sure they're not in my way. Just like that, because our next step is you want to grab your other piece of fabric that measures 18 inches wide by 10 inches wide. With the pretty side of our fabric facing up with the pockets, we're going to lay this side pretty faces touching. Just like that, and throw in some pins. Alright guys, so I have the sides and the bottom pinned. And before I pin the top here, you're going to want to leave a 4-inch opening. So I'm just going to stick a pin right here. Go over 4 inches and stick another pin. Now just add a few more extra pins. Alright guys, so now I'm just going to take this over to my sewing machine. And using that straight stitch that we've been using all along, I'm going to start right here. I'm going to backstitch, and I'm going to sew all the way around, making sure I stop at this other pin and backstitch. That way we have a nice opening for turning purposes. Alright guys, so I'm going to be using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'll also be using a straight stitch. My length is a 2 and my width is a 0. Now I already went ahead and removed my pin here, so I'm going to backstitch. And just keep sewing. When you get about a 1/2 inch away from the side here, for me, I know it's when my fabric just starts to go under my presser foot. I'm going to stop with my needle down, lift my presser foot, and spin. Now just keep sewing. Alright guys, so I'm coming up to my pin here. So I'm just going to sew right up to that pin and backstitch. So now that we have this all sewed together with our little 4-inch opening at the top here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clip my corners. So to do that, I'm just going to take my scissors here and I'm going to clip this just like that, but not going through your stitches. And I'm going to do that to all 4 corners. Now you just want to turn it right side out. Now I'm just going to use this chopstick here to make sure that my corners are poked out, but you could also just use the eraser end of a pencil, or even your scissors if you're really careful. And just to make sure my corners are nice and sharp, I'm going to go ahead and use this bone folder. Alright guys, so now I'm just going to take this over to my ironing board and I'm going to give it a good press, making sure that my opening here is tucked in and looks pretty. And you want to avoid your ribbon here, it'll probably melt. Alright, so finally I'm going to take this back over to my sewing machine, and with about 1/8 to even 1/4 inch seam allowance, I'm going to top stitch all the way around. I'm going to backstitch at the beginning and the end, and for the ribbons here, I'm just going to leave them out just like that. Now one thing I am going to do to this ribbon is go ahead and take my pinking shears and just cut off the tips. That'll keep it from fraying. Alright guys, so I went ahead and I top stitched all the way around, back stitching at the beginning and the end. And our next step is just to fill it up with your goodies. So I went to Walmart and I got this little 4x6 inch little notebook here. And that fits perfectly right here in the larger pouch. I have a couple pencils here. I'm just going to go ahead and stick them in one of the pockets. Now I also went and got a 12-pack of colored pencils, so I'm going to fill up the rest of the pockets with those. And as you can see, they fit perfect. Now to close this, you just want to fold it into a third, just like that, and fold this other half over. Now you just want to wrap your longer ribbon around to the back and tie it in a bow. Just like that. Isn't that just the cutest? Now like I said, I think this will go perfectly with my drawstring backpacks I made last week. These will be great to take along to school, of course, or on those long road trips or plane trips, where you just want to keep your kid busy. Now I hope you give this project a try. If you like this project and want to see more of my projects, go down below and hit the big red subscribe button and give this video a big thumbs up. If you have any questions about this video or any of my other videos, or would just like to leave a suggestion for a future upcoming video, leave me a comment. Feel free to share this video across your social medias. And as always, thanks for watching. And I'll see you next time.